Oh, well, here we are.
Here we are. This is new for us.
It is.
We've talked about doing this for a long time, but
We have.
haven't actually found the time to do it. Those are two totally different things, talking about it and actually doing it.
True.
But this is something we've always done. It's just like come into the office, start making coffee, and then having conversations about anything, honestly.
Yeah. It depends on like the weekend before, the week before.
The day of.
Yeah, like if anybody's in church or like does anything musically or artistry in church, you know that like every single weekend as a leader, you take like a laundry list of notes of things that you need to go recap.
Especially with people with brains like ours, like you can't help but
I can't shut it off.
yeah, it's so hard to
Yeah.
even like visit another church and not be like, oh man, like that's cool.
Yeah.
Or that cue or those lights or that sound.
Or I
Like,
love that arrangement. Or
yeah,
like all
dude,
the
you're
things.
always taking notes, good or bad. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a curse and a blessing. But
Yeah.
What are we drinking? What is this?
so not sponsored, but hey, Trade, if you're watching, we would love to be sponsored.
True.
We
Heck
love your coffee hookup. But today we've got some Irving Farm. This is 71 House. So brewed it up in our.
Is it gonna hurt me if I drink it? Is it that hot?
No, it's good right now. It's really nice. Aerate it.
That's nice.
That is really nice.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah.
This was better today.
Yeah.
We have a keys player on our team. Shout out to Jared, who's probably the best barista I have ever been around.
yeah.
Most knowledgeable for
That guy
sure.
is a sponge of knowledge.
He
Yeah.
cut his teeth on Barista Parlor here in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Got promoted from busboy up to barista. Left Barista Parlor, went to RH.
Yep.
Was a beverage director at RH for a while, and then moved over to Stay Golden for all you coffee guys out
What
there.
an underdog story.
I know, right?
From
Busboy
busboy
at
to,
Barista Parlor,
to literally one of the most sought after baristas in Nashville.
and now he's
Yeah,
at
that's true.
a
What a
location
W.
of Elegy, which is they opened a new location. So shout out Jared. He taught us everything we know.
What's amazing about Jared too is he's not just like amazing in coffee. He's amazing at everything. And
Yeah.
like music, boy can shred the keys.
Dude, his
Programming is nuts.
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Because of his like sponge of a brain, he just makes everything the most beautifully complicated as possible.
That's true.
So his rig is insanity.
It is
Yeah.
insane.
So, yeah, this is fun. We were talking. What we were talking about before. We were having so many conversations. We were like, we have to hold them for the podcast.
Oh,
But-
I got some new shoes, and I wanted to bring something up that's really important. Do you guys ever have any shoes that you like? You see them online, you get them, you love them, you're like, oh, these are so sick, and you put them on, and then the top-down view is
it's not what you
horrendous.
thought.
Yeah, you're like,
But
oh,
you know, like
you got catfished by these
you
shoes.
got you look from the side, and you're like, all right,
Oh, that's a
these
nice
These are
shoe.
nice.
Dude, I never
I have to
understood.
remind myself that these look really good.
I never going through like Payless or JCPenney or like all those like shoe stores as a kid, and you see those benches, right?
Yeah.
And then the
The
angled
mirror.
mirror. I was like, what is that mirror for? And then one day I like walked up to it and I was like, oh, it's to see the side profile of your
Didn't the
shoe.
grocery stores have those?
I don't know, but
wait, where?
At the checkout.
oh no, so that
What is that?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Target.
We could throw something on the screen of what that is. So because I worked there, I was taught exactly what that was.
That's
So
amazing.
In the checkout line, they've got a mirror on the other side of the checkout line, and that's to see a reflection of the cart to see if they're hiding anything underneath, or
Whoa.
if they've got like toilet paper or water, or like case of water underneath their cart.
Well,
You
I've
can-
been using it to check my shoe game since I was,
There you go.
you know,
That's also
Able to
why
walk.
they put that there.
my vanity
Yeah.
at the checkout line at Publix.
Yeah, that had a weird like realization. We were at the store this weekend, and on the checkout line, they also have those little flip out checkbook tables. Where you write checks, like you push the table in and it flips out.
Yeah.
I'm like, man,
I had
no
this-
one writes checks anymore.
This sweet old woman
Yeah.
at the Publix recently writing a check, and I was like, man, we're gonna be here for a while.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
Truth.
it's- back to what we were saying with like just anything in church related. Like I thought this weekend was like, it was really good. We had a guest worship leader come in and lead alongside Harley.
Well, not really a guest, actually, a new team member. But it was their first
time. Yeah. Shout out Noah.
Yeah.
Did amazing. We all have like a plethora of things that we do, so it just kind of depends. Like I don't know. For me, it's like that's like my resting place. Like I don't mind if I do something every single week. I thankfully over the years I've been able to kind of build that endurance to like not feel burnout or anything by doing that. But guitar has become my resting place, and I don't know for you as well. It's just like I can get up there and just kind of check out in the best way possible. Yeah. It's like a rest week for me, and I was able to just get up there and rip, and it was fun.
Yeah, no, I get that when I play bass. Like in some ways, it makes me think about playing in a different way because I'm used to acoustic, I'm used to leading worship, but to be able to play bass and let someone else lead, that is kind of like, man, this is nice.
Yeah.
I feel that.
What's your spot?
I think it's changed over the years. On stage, like I don't know, man. I felt, and I told you this like a couple of weeks ago. I felt more inconsistent on guitar than like almost any other position on the platform. Like I think just because like I've devoted time to like developing other gifts or whatever it may be, like I've just kind of not put myself in that headspace of being able to like jump on and like really nail it, or be able to kind of like go into your zen. You know what I mean? But I would say like I've enjoyed like leading a lot more.
So good at it, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
I
You're so
appreciate
gifted.
that. I think
true.
the Lord has really blessed us in this season with a lot more people jumping in
Yeah.
that are like genuinely talented.
Yeah.
I've always like kept the mantra. Well, it's not a mantra. It's just like I would rather have 5 people who give everything than 50 that can't give all. And it's nothing against anybody. Like that's the main thing about like ministry and music, and it's always a shell shock whenever you're like, what do you mean nobody is taking this as serious as I do? Well, everybody has a normal life, and like we are extremely blessed to do what we do, and like not only serve the Lord but do music in that, and like do the arts in ministry. And I have to pinch myself constantly, remind myself first of all that I do that, but also that everybody else has their own life. And there's a beautiful like side to that, to be able to pour into people in that way and prepare the saints in a way to to try and get where we're at. And that's like no pretentious whatever. It's just nobody has as much time as we do,
Right.
to spend in our gifts.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, that reminder is always like the Lord is so kind and so gracious to us to let us do
true.
that.
Like literally, I have to remind myself all the time. Like right now, I'm living my dream, and sometimes when you are living your dream, you forget that you're even doing it.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty of that. And like I just always thought like when I'm living my dream, it's going to be so great and it's going to look like X, Y, and Z. And then when you get there, it doesn't look like that X, Y, and Z that you had in your head.
Yeah.
And so even the song that we sang on Sunday, it's one of our new songs that we're thinking about putting on a record. But "Oh My Soul," one of the first lines is, "I'm loosening my grip on how I thought things should have been."
That's such a good line.
I know.
And
That
You
was
sang that, and
money.
I did not hear it the first time. It just hit
yeah,
in a new way, and I was like playing guitar, just like. It's every single week, and I have one of those moments. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, and I like the Lord is so kind to show up in that way.
yeah. It's like, and what's so cool is like with the church, like I've always dreamed of being a worship pastor, and now I'm doing that. And like I was not qualified to work here and be the worship pastor at this church, but like Pastor Jason gave me a chance, and I think he did the same with all of us, and just saw what giftings we have inside our heart. He saw our heart for the church and for our people, and
hearing us out on where we want to be.
yeah,
I think that's really, really important as a leader to
yeah,
look at somebody and like see their potential and not figure out if they can fill a role.
Yeah.
And that's like why I go back to I would rather have 5 that want to give everything, because that's just like there's potential there. It's like, if you're willing to give it all, then
yeah.
like it's limitless on what you can do with us. not for us, but with us.
The ones that are on our team they have like another job and they volunteer on Sundays. Like, I love to see when they are spending time in their craft, or when they're like coming here to work on their craft. Like Austin working on drums, Harrison working on tone. Whenever, like all of those types of things, like people that really spend the time and take the time to just get 1% better every day. You know? And it's just, I love that.
That will microwave you.
And,
and just like, because at the end of the day, your leaders are going to see that, because we're always watching.
Yeah.
And I've always told people on my team that too. I'm like, I'm always watching to see like where you're at. It's just how, I don't know, it's just how I'm wired. But like, when I see someone striving, then they're going to get that extra from us as well. And that's no favorites. That's nothing like that. It's just kind of how it is. Like,
when they're
if somebody's
in the
not
work
in the season to give a certain amount, that's totally fine. We're here. We love you. We're gonna be here waiting whenever you're ready to like come back. And even if you don't come back, like at the end of the day, like church is church. You don't have to. We're called to serve, but I think you should serve when you're healthy.
Yeah, and for context of what we're talking about right now, like MSW is a ministry out of a church. We try to say that as much as possible, but we truly are like in the middle of it. Like some of the things you may see on our social media is, kind of our big highlight things. Like we get to go out and do travel things. We get to record. Like those are such amazing blessings. But our core team at MSW is in a full-time ministry position, leading teams, leading a congregation on weekends. And so these conversations really happen all the time, and we get to translate that over into the teams for MSW. But it's amazing to be able to get to sit down and share kind of like what we are doing daily. So
Yeah.
It's true. Like, working at the church, like all of us that are kind of core to MSW, like we all have different roles too. So like, I'm in worship, like Lee's in production, overseeing production in every way. Like I'm overseeing worship in every way. And that's like age level ministries. It's like all the things, Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah, I was I was legitimately like fixing printers for Kids Check-In. This past week. So anything to do.
And even Jenna, like
help.
who's not here, Jenna is doing communication stuff and like team building and small groups and all of those types of things. So like, it's cool to be able to do Madison Street, to go on the road, to record and all that stuff. But like, we work at a church, and when you work at a church, you have not just one hat that you wear, and that's what it is,
Yeah.
Do you guys subscribe to the? My stomach just made a noise. Do you hear that? Do you guys subscribe to the like, get in a lane and stick with it type of thing? That's a very loaded question.
It is loaded.
I'll answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know where I land on that. And that's why I ask, because if anybody is familiar with the Enneagram, which if you're a Christian, you know what it is. I'm a 7 wing 8, so basically that means that I'm all over the place aggressively. And I my poor wife, she's actually, let me grab this. I just recently got into taking photos and wanting to do that. My curse is taking anything I can and trying to make money with it. So,
dude, I think that is
this
like
is a plug.
That's like the millennial mindset.
It is.
It's like the only thing we can do.
Yeah.
Like my parents and their parents worked their whole life for 50 years. We're like, we're not going to do that. We're going to do what we want and try to make money with it.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I kind of come around to it, and my very, very good friend, him and I talk about this a lot, and we're both kind of torn between that. I don't know. And especially like in ministry, I don't in any way want to say it's bad, but it's definitely tough to be in one lane and like be fully used. Cause like, I think you're the perfect example of that right now. Like, you're all over the place in like the best way possible. And you find your gifting in other areas. And the thing is like, the Lord's called us to like an umbrella of things. And unless we explore those options, we're never going to know like our full potential as leaders. And everybody's called to lead. Like my wife, who's a youth pastor, she keeps saying this, and it's so good. Like at one point in your life, you will be at a point where you have to teach the gospel, and at least once.
Right.
So like, I want to live the most prepared as possible, and if that means I'm like super underqualified to shoot photos for something, and I'm there and I'm doing that in a studio in Nashville, and like get to love people like Jesus, then I'm doing what I need to do.
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that, and that's an interesting way to like frame that question.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking about a lane being like your profession or like what your gift set is, I think that may be the wrong way to think about it. I think consistency is the key. If I can stay in my lane consistently, like or with consistency,
Right.
if consistency is my lane, it really didn't matter what I'm doing. So if I say I'm going to love the people of Shelbyville well, and then if I have any more capacity, I'll do the rest of the world. But for now,
That's awesome.
for now, I'm called to the people of Shelbyville. So if that looks like I'm cleaning the toilets today, because I know that's going to bless somebody who comes in and says, wow, this facility's so clean. And I get to like, enjoy the bathroom experience or whatever, like I can drop what I think my place on this earth is with the giftings that the Lord has given me, as long as I'm like doing what I feel called to, which is serving the body. And it doesn't really matter what that looks like, but my consistency to show up in no matter what circumstance is what I feel like is making a difference. So like kind of what you're saying, like being all over the place, like there are times when I feel like, Lord, why am I like taking a season off the platform? Like if I felt like, 13-year-old me was like, no, I want to like lead, I want to play, like whatever that looks like. If it serves the like moment, like we talk about even in like worship sets, serving the moment might even look like me training, a young kid who's got a shaky hand on a camera, or, like pastoring somebody through a hard season when I'm not even one of the pastors of the church. I'm like a technical director. I think it's like just being able to be willing and obedient in whatever that is. It's totally a loaded question. So like,
I think
there's so many ways to answer it.
I think as well, like you have to think about how wide your lane can be, and like thankfully in artistry, like it's pretty wide. Like no matter what I'm doing, I'm doing things that are creative, and like there's a broad stroke of people that do things that are creative, from photo to video to like actual art to like music to producing to like music business. Like that's a little stretch, but like I don't know, I think that's kind of a lane. When I think of like me as a producer, like it sounds like a sad life for me to like only go after that, because like there's a high probability that I'm going to strike out, and I don't know. I think is that where like, what do you have? Do you have something?
Well, I was gonna talk into that a little bit. Like, I think sometimes, it's good to be multifaceted, and at the same time, like you have to ask yourself the question of, are you multifaceted out of fear, or are you multifaceted out of purpose? Because if you're multifaceted out of fear that like, what if this doesn't work out, then you should deal with that fear,
right?
And trust the Lord with that fear. But if you feel like you have purpose and you bring creativity to the table and you do all these artisty things of like, you take pictures, you do video, you do music, you do production, like I admire people like that because that's really cool. I'm not that person. And
Lee is the one the reason why I'm getting into all these things.
Well, yeah, it's really cool, and it stretches me. I mean, like before even working at Gateway, like I never touched Photoshop, Premiere Pro, like all of those things. And like right before this, I was in Photoshop, like working on something. And I think it's cool to be able to stretch your boundaries of what you've known. I think as far as what you do in life goes, is what Lee said, like your purpose is loving people well, and from that you get to do all of these fun things that serve the body.
Yeah, I think. Oh shoot! I just forgot what I was gonna say.
I'll say this too. My uncle, when I was like 13, I was actually really into production, and I was really into what I thought was good. And I was cutting these CDs for my family, and I was singing
Big
all these
time.
covers, and I was like posting them to YouTube. I was shooting videos. I don't know if it's there, but you can search. I probably took it down, to be honest. I probably took
Trevin,
it down.
look that up. Get that.
But
Get on the TV.
I did this cover of "I Am Redeemed" or "Redeemed" by Big Daddy Weave.
Ooh, it's a good song.
And I like produced it. Actually, what I did was I bought the like
Karaoke tracks.
The backtrack for it.
and then like mixed it how I wanted to, and then I added instruments that I thought should be in there.
You're a
and
producer,
then
bro.
Yeah,
I
man.
added all these like vocal things, and then I shot the videos and edited them, and it was terrible. But at one point in my life, especially like 13, 14 years old, I was really into that. And mainly in like GarageBand, because my parents didn't know what to get me. But I had a Mac, so I was doing that.
Wow, investment.
But my uncle told me one time, he's a professional videographer out of Mobile, Alabama, and I was about that sounded so.
Did you hear that?
I was asking for a specific mic because I wanted to start doing better audio recording, and I was looking at this, like the snowball mics. I was like looking at those
Yeti
and
mics.
Yeah.
yes, and I was looking at like all of these other mics that like you can flip the switch and it changes from like condenser to like, or it changes from like
Cardioid
Omnidirectional,
patterns.
cardioid to
yeah.
like
You walk in a Guitar Center and you see those mics. You're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you gotta have it.
yeah,
Every
and,
YouTuber had those. That's why.
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, that's right.
Or
and
those blue mics.
Yeah, the blues.
I
Yeah.
would watch certain YouTubers that would have mics like that, and I'm like, I want to get a mic like that. And he told me something that actually stuck out to me, and it was that one mic can do each one of those settings okay, like average.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you were to buy a mic specifically for an Omni, like take, or buy a specific mic for a cardioid, then those mics are probably better in the long run.
Dude,
and
that is
just
the
get-
same mentality I've had for years with pedal boards. And
Oh,
all
yeah.
these multi-effects pedals, I'm like, you can get it. Like, no hate, dude. People
Yeah.
can rip on a Line 6
Let's talk about
Helix,
this. This is good.
but like those things can make really amazing sounds. The thing is like when you buy a pedal board and like you imagine like, okay, I get to hand pick all these pedals. You're literally doing that. You're like,
Yeah.
I want this overdrive sound.
Right.
I don't want an emulation of that's like worried about 50 other different
Yeah,
sounds to try
exactly.
to make this work. It's like this pedal does this one specific thing
Yes.
and it'll do it well.
I think
really
about the
well.
lifetime that those pedal builders spent creating those like algorithms and like, or not arithmetic to like build those circuits, and like the teams it takes to build those, and then you look at like a 50 plus pedal effects unit, and I'm like, do you think they spent the same amount of time coding that? Like,
Yeah, because they're like designing one pedal at a time.
versus like
versus-
a one-stop shop.
I think it's probably just IRs. I'm
Yeah.
totally
Yeah, I have
talking
no
from
idea.
my butt. I don't know
Yeah,
how those work.
I know they're extremely talented, smart, amazing people, and it's
No,
come
for
a
sure.
long way.
yeah.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
like,
I mean, we don't run amps.
yeah, I
anymore.
don't anymore. I
Yeah.
sold all my amps. It's
Right.
like just it's a convenient
I have
thing
4
to not have
in
amps
storage.
anymore. I would love to get to a place in life where I'm like, no man, I still use amps.
Yeah.
I'm not a purist like that, but I would love to use them and then
Yeah.
not break my back.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was so long. I traveled with amps, and I mean, you were there for most.
It was
of
the
that.
thing, yeah.
It was just part of it, and nobody batted an eye. And then like, there was one gig where I showed up with amps, and I say gig, I played at a church, and these people were flabbergasted. They're like, "Well, we've got this Kemper rig you can run," and I was like, I don't know how to use that. I don't think that's a good idea. And I ran amps in this. Actually, I think this is morbid. I think the guy that did this is passed away now. So,
Oh.
you know, but so this pastor comes up like in between services, and he's like, "What's all that noise?"
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, my amps, and he's like, well, those gotta, we gotta turn those down. And I'm like, well, I was like,
Two different worlds
I,
at
you know,
that point.
in hindsight, I was not easy to work with, and I the Lord has given me grace, but I was like, no, we can't do that. I was like, these are tube amps. I tried to explain it technically to him. I was like, you can't just like turn them down. So we like put some baffling up to try to like bring the sound down.
Yeah.
We all been there.
Yeah, and so then the next service comes around and I'm playing, and my right amp just like goes away.
Hit the breaker.
And I'm like, the frick was that? So I'm like steaming mad, like playing, and I get off and I go back there, and this man had like taken an acoustic panel and like tossed it over it, and it like hit the 57 that was on the amp and knocked it over. So that like nothing happened. Nobody turned anything off. It just like knocked the mic over, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. So
Been there, dude.
so I bought an Iridium.
Yeah.
Not long after that, I was like, I'm just gonna show up and use that.
It's cool to me how far stuff like that has come. Like
it's definitely like
simulations.
It is surpassed the you know,
I had that Digitech pedal when that was like the first thing my dad got me.
those multi-effects pedals are actually good. Those are good.
It's like the one with the 2 buttons. And
yeah,
like,
and then you could like build your own pedal board inside of it.
Yeah.
Turn them off and on.
It's a rarity to find something though that has several different settings that they are all solid. Or
Yeah.
what's his face from the 1975 runs that like solid state Boss multi effects thing,
Dude.
and that's like that solid state 80s like Roland chorus tone.
Dude, I
So good.
for multi-effects pedals, this is my appeal for them. Put them on your board. Don't run them as your board, but put one on your board, because it can do so many different things. It is literally like, that is the best function of it, is to be like, I need this random trim that's a stereo pan every other note. Like that kind of stuff you'll find. Like I had this one pedal, we throw it up here. It's called a Yamaha Magic Stomp. And it's this ugly looking purple, like multi-effects pedal that I had on my board like for the longest time. But it was almost like, it was
Secret weapon?
It was before the Mobius came out.
Okay.
And so it could do all these different modulation stuff. Like it had this weird like octave shimmer delay thing on there, and it would like do the like shimmer type thing.
Coldplay,
It was sick.
Johnny Buckland thing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was like usable for sure.
That is single-handedly the only reason why I have a DL4 on my board still. If any of y'all don't know what that is, it's like the OG delay pedal.
You've seen it.
It's the gigantic green one.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I rebuilt this rig, I had to like, I pulled up pedal board planner and I put the DL4 on it and was like, that's my non-negotiable. This is staying on here. And then I put the next like big pedal on there, which is my volume. And I was like, we got to make this work. So I did. And you know, praise God, we're good.
Yeah,
I think we're still good.
Yeah.
What I love about just talking about like multi-effect things or multi-settings, like I don't know why, but my brain is going into like teamwork, and because
Whoa.
you guys are talking about like production stuff, you're talking about this pedal, and you're like, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm like, that's me. That's me. I don't know. Tell me what that is. But I think what's so cool is like we're all kind of gifted in our own way, and there are like main topics, I guess you could say, or specialties that we each have individually. And what's cool is like that's what makes a team.
Yeah.
Because you bring something to the table,
True.
and they're both different, and I bring something to the table as well.
Dude, that is
different.
That is one of the best tools to combat imposter syndrome, because we can always get to that place of like, I just don't feel like why am I here? There's 400 other guitar players in Nashville. Why am I here? And then the Lord will remind me, you're here because you're the puzzle piece nobody else is. And like,
right.
you can't like compare yourself to anybody, because nobody else is like you.
That's right.
Just like you're like no one else.
Yeah.
And so like that, I'll rest in confidence in that all day long, because I'll be able to walk into a room and feel in my like heart, I'll feel like completely unqualified, but I'll be able to like rest knowing like the Lord calls me to be different for a reason.
Yeah.
And so like I might not be the one who's getting called for all the gigs that, get, Grammys or Doves or all that kind of thing. But the thing is like what I'll bring to the table is unique to me because the Lord has crafted me so uniquely.
Yeah.
It's all for that one Instagram DM that you get from someone, and they're like, I've only like, there's only a handful of songs that are out that I produced 100%. And I had a guy reach out, I think about a year ago, and was like, this is like very one-off niche song that I produced that, shout out Harrison Gamber. It was so specific. It was for his friend's wedding that he like wrote a song for them that I produced. And then we ended up just putting it out because it was a good song. And this dude reaches out and he's like, hey, did you produce Harrison Gamber's stuff? And I was like, I did. And he's like, bro, that song like changed my life. Like,
wow.
I'm pursuing artistry because of that sound.
Wow.
Can you produce my stuff? And I was like, what?
You're picking yourself off the floor.
I was like, yes, I would be honored. I will travel to you to make this happen.
Yeah.
It's all worth it. It's all worth it. And I think like when it comes to teamwork, like, dude, if you can, that's kind of back to staying in your lane, but not staying in your lane. Because like, if you can rest in confidence knowing that I was made to do these things, then like, and I was put in this place to support these people, then like, dude, that team is just gonna kick butt. Like, I will come up behind you learning the things that you know so I can be useful eventually, but I sit in confidence knowing that when there's something wrong with XYZ, I can call Lee. It
would be a lonely place if I like had to do what I do by myself.
Same, man.
Because like I can't do what you guys do. And me and Lee had a conversation a while back about just like some life things. And I was like, bro, I can't do what I do without you. Like, I can't. It's just not possible.
And you guys hug and you're like, well, you embraced.
I would, yeah. I would just say like, just whatever you do, like make sure you find the people that you can do it with, because it's a lonely place doing it by yourself. And we all bring something to the table. And what's cool is like, just because they have a specialty in a certain area doesn't mean I get to speak into something and say, oh, what about this? Like we play off of each other and we do teamwork, and that's cool. So, and we all learn from each other, which is even cooler. Like for down the road when we need it, like you said, pull it out of the hat.
So keep people close and don't burn bridges, because
for real.
Yeah. And
people can also be in your tool belt.
Yeah. And celebrate others' strengths.
Celebrate others.
And their victories.
Yeah.
Celebrate when your friend gets a song on radio.
Yeah.
Freak out. Call them. Cry with them. Like, that is so special.
And I'll say, too, if you're that person that's getting a song on radio or whatever it may be, whatever opportunities you're getting,
email us at Madison Street.
If you're that person that is getting those opportunities, like, don't always just talk about that one thing. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like,
dude.
Like be present for your friends and
It'll
be like,
dry
hey,
up quick.
Yeah, like how are you doing?
Right.
Like, and it's not a comparison thing. It's just like a genuine, like, hey, this is what God is doing for me. This is amazing. I want you to be a part of it. Like, what's God doing in your world? Like, yeah, how can I be there for you?
Because they could be
you
like, yeah, I started this lawn mowing business and like I'm making more money than I ever have in my life, and the Lord is blessed. And you'd be like, what? I didn't even know you did that. Because I keep talking about myself. That's crazy.
That's for another podcast.
And then that person's like, I actually want to invest in your artistry because of the amount of money that I'm making with my lawn cutting business.
Yeah.
Because you cared about me.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's real, man.
It is, yeah.
So we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
We don't ever want this to feel forced. There's no agenda. Again, this is just like what we do anyway. So why not set things up?
Turn the cameras on, grab the mics, easy setup.
We'll get the girls in here too, and that way you don't have to. This isn't just a boys' room.
Yeah,
this is for everybody. So
yeah, let us know if you want us to continue doing this. We don't exactly know where it's going to go. Like, we might like create a little platform, or we'll just like post the whole thing on the YouTube, to be honest. Like,
this is a brand new thing, and I'm sure at some point we'll cover topics and we'll talk about things that
questions.
Like
that's
we'll
easy.
answer questions about worship, about ministry, about production, about life, whatever, about artistry, about getting signed to a label, all the things, whatever it may be, we'll talk about it.
We have a really unique position, like talking about, you know, individuality and like uniqueness. Like, we are different than a lot of other ministries. This is the last thing I'll say and we'll wrap it up.
Yep.
We're different than a lot of other ministries. We are a church that has, you know, like a you know, musical presence. You know, that's a lot of churches in America right now are being able to do that. And,
it's amazing.
but where we are specifically is it's interesting what's happening. I've never heard of anything happening like, other than maybe like Bethel Church in Reading, like very small town, like country town, and like this amazing, like, you know, ministry booms out of it. We're really in a similar place. So like, it's a lot, like we have very unique like learning things that we've had to conquer because of like that specific hurdle. Like, we don't have a huge influx. Like, yes, we are in the greater Nashville area, like the Middle Tennessee area. So there is like a lot of natural like talent and musical ability around this area, but like,
they're an hour and 15 minutes away.
Yeah, it's interesting to like navigate that, and like the style of church we have, the size of church we have in a town that like has only like, I don't even know the statistics, like 30,000, 40,000 people.
Yeah, and maybe less, maybe 20,000.
Maybe less. Like, it's a small city.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, to have a church that's like 1,200 people strong in a town of that size is almost unheard
That's
of.
10% of our place.
And
Siri.
yeah,
Shut up.
Hang it. So, all that being said, is like, we have a really unique position to talk on that stuff specifically. I think we've got a lot of insight on that. So if you're, you know, in that position where like you're in like you're near a bigger city,
dude,
and
that's 90% of churches.
It is, yeah. There's a lot
90%.
of churches.
Our church being the number is the 1%er.
right.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy
so
stuff.
we want to be a resource. You know, MSW is not just a band,
Right. It's a ministry.
It's a ministry in itself, but also like we have, you know, a lot of seasoned people on our team that have a lot of wisdom, and we just want to like share it if we can. So all that being said,
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.